Good morning, everybody. Good morning, it's JPR. Yes, I have finally returned to the realm of the living. I have exited what I like to call my Pokemon-induced coma, which happens once every 3 years when a new generation comes out. For now, I'm gonna withhold my judgments about the actual Sword and Shield games as a topic for another time, and today we're strictly gonna discuss the new Pokemon introduced this gen. I normally do a top 5 or top 10 Pokemon list for every generation, but this time I wanted to mix it up. The gloves are coming off. Nobody is safe from this video. Anyway, I just want to give my overall impressions of these Pokemon so far. Disclaimer, no, I have not used some of these, so I won't have completely adequate info to go off of. This is more of my first impression type of thing. And one more thing, since this video will probably be way too long already, I gotta run through 81 of these bad boys as it is. I will not be including the Galarian forms or Gigantamax forms. Maybe if you guys want that, it'll be a topic for a future video. Anyway, let's get started. Grookey is a pretty alright grass starter. Not my personal favorite, but he gets the job done. Thwackey is actually pretty sick in my opinion though. He's exactly what I expected as a middle form Pokemon. I know some people don't like his yellowish tinted fur, but it really doesn't bother me too badly. It's a solid design overall. Now Rilla Boom is alright looking and I love his signature move, but I don't like how different he looks from Grookey and Thwackey. Like, I get the little sticks become drumsticks and he gets the drum to go with it. That part is fine, he just looks nothing like the previous two forms. It's just odd to me. Not a bad Pokemon though. Now, I wasn't a big Scorbunny fan at first, but I will admit his cute little animations in the first cutscene of the game really sold me on him. It's a pretty basic design, but again, as a starter, I think he gets the job done, and I love the vibes he gives off. Raboot is also a pretty cool looking design. I can tell it took every ounce of Game Freak's willpower to not make this man a fire fighting type, so I wanted to give a shout out to them for overcoming such a high amount of adversity. I know it must have been a stressful time. Cinderace is just weird looking. I'm not a huge fan, but I will say he has the best animations of the game between Pyro Ball and the way he just pops off after Dynamaxing. Like Scorbunny, there's a lot of personality present here. And even if I'm not a big fan of the design itself, I will say this is probably the most coherent evolution line for a star Pokemon in recent memory. I like when the final form ends up being similar to the base form. It feels like a natural progression, which again was kind of my gripe with Rillaboom. You guys should already know how I feel about Sobble. He's an absolute cinnamon roll, and I love him. Probably the starter I've been the most connected to since Chimchar over a decade ago. I also really like Drizzile, which is weird because I generally don't like the middle starter evolutions. I think they usually look pretty awkward, but in this generation, all three of them are pretty solid. I just like the water balloon animation he has, and he's also my favorite shade of blue, so he's just really satisfying for me to look at. I originally thought Inteleon was kinda ugly like everyone else did, but he has grown on me. All the James Bond references are cool, and I like how he's gotten over his edgy phase and is now content with his lone wolf persona. It's a decent character arc. Also, Snipe Shot is just a really cool move, another one they absolutely nailed. Squabbit is literally just a squirrel, but at least he's kind of cute, which is more than I can say about Greedent, which is literally just a fatter squirrel. I know the Route 1 rodents in every generation usually aren't cool, but this just feels way too generic. Rookidee, on the other hand, is a sick regional bird. He comes swinging with Hone Claws and Power Trip very early in the game, which is a deadly combination. Also, being pure flying type is cool. Now I don't have to lie awake at night wondering why none of my birds was this fighting type. Same thing with Corvisquire, satisfying color palette, and he just looks like the next logical step in the evolution chain. Corviknight might be my favorite regional bird ever, and he probably has my favorite 3D model in this game. It just looks really slick, and adding steel type to him was a good decision. Blip Bug is a caterpillar. Dottler is an alright middle stage. Psychic was a cool typing to add, and I like that his name comes from the Doppler effect, which ties into his evolution Orbeetle, who draws inspiration from UFOs. It's an alright evolution line. Nickit and Thievul are the epitome of disappointing for me. It's like they smushed the Purloin and Zorua evolution lines together and came up with a Pokemon that's slightly cooler than Purloin, but nowhere near as cool as Zorua. Also, Thievul's stats are just awful, and it only learns Dark-type moves by leveling up. It's a really disappointing knockoff of Swiper from Dora. Gossifleur and Eldegoss are both fine. I don't have strong opinions on either of them. They're just alright grass Pokemon to catch if you didn't choose Grookey, even if their move pools are a bit lacking. Wooloo is a great simplistic design that's both funny and cute, and Dubwool came out better than I thought he would, and that's all I can say. Choodle is fine. I didn't have any reason to mess with him since I chose Sobble, and Dreadnought is also alright. I like that they finally did a snapping turtle for a Pokemon, although I wish he didn't share the same typing with Caracosta, who is also a turtle Pokemon. Yamper is adorable, and I love him. Also, having Nuzzle early in the game is a great asset. Bolton isn't the direction I anticipated him to take Yamper in, but he does get decent moves, pretty good stats overall, and I like his design more than Manetrix, so he's alright. Roly-Poly is the third Pokemon based on a rock, but wait, this time it's coal. Does it matter? I think not. Karkle is just really ugly looking in my opinion. I used him for a good portion of the game, but just couldn't ever get used to his face. Fire Rock also isn't doing him any favors with 2 quad weaknesses to water and ground type moves. Not a big fan. But I stuck it out because I heard his final form was called Colossal, and that's be one of the best Pokemon names from recent generations. But sadly, his design never grew on me and I ended up boxing him slightly later. I really think he should just permanently have the red eyes that show up in his attacking animation instead of the white eyes. That would make him look more like a fearsome Pokemon and less like a guy in a clunky suit of armor in my opinion. Cool name though. Applin is alright when you realize he's actually a dragon living inside an apple and not an apple itself. Also when you survive the absolute torture that it is to train him. Flapple is fine, he gets a gold star for being one of my permanent party members and getting some really cool moves. I only wish he were a tiny bit bigger to emphasize his dragon characteristics. Appleton is exclusive to Shield, so I never saw him, but he looks very nice and wholesome, and I love the idea of an apple pie Pokemon that is also a dragon, so both evolutions get a pass in my book. Silicobra is cool, and it's another name that I like, and the same goes for Sandaconda. I've never been a big fan of the snake Pokemon, but I do think they really nailed these two, and I happily use them on my main team. Another gold star. Good lord, Cramorant is not a good Pokemon stat-wise, but his ability is hilarious and that's all that matters. He's alright. Irikuda is a little basic in my opinion. I get that he's just a fish, but his design leaves a lot to be desired for me. Barraskewda fixes this though, so all is well that ends well. Also, I feel like this Pokemon is going to be absurdly good on rating teams and competitive. I can't wait to try him out. Toxel is a baby who is electric and poison type. I don't get why, I think they just wanted to have a poison and electric type for once, and that's totally fine. Toxtricity is a fun Pokemon to use. I didn't keep him on my team for the entire game, but again, the typing is cool, the form differences are cool, and I love this little animation where he just strums his body like an electric guitar. He's a bizarre looking Pokemon, but a fun one. Sizzlipede is just really cool as both a bug and fire type Pokemon, and I like that they made him exceedingly hard to find, or at least until they present you with a chance for a free one later in the game. That really made me look stupid walking around for hours on end trying to find one. Same thing with Centiskorch, just an incredibly cool Pokemon who I use for most of the game. I also like that he learns really good moves early on. I didn't have to change any of his moves until much later when he learned Fire Lash and Lunge. Clobbopus is an octopus that clobbers people. Yeah, I'm not feeling it either. Okay, I know there's probably some really cool design origin behind this thing, but I'm biased and I hate it because it took over me 100 Ultra Balls to catch this thing for no reason. He kept dying to hail damage. I've never wanted to throw myself in the traffic so badly. Other than that, he's not bad. Sinistea feels kind of pointless to me, especially since you should have the item to evolve it instantly upon catching it. I just feel like Poltegeist would have been fine on its own. I do like both of their names though. Hatenna is a hat, it's an antenna, it's cute, and I like it. Hatchram is the same thing, but it's even cuter. Still like it. Where did all the cuteness go? This thing looks like it wants to devour me whole in a foggy forest somewhere where Bigfoot lives. But I do like the idea of a witch Pokemon in the UK. It fits with the theme, and is one of those Pokemon that I don't mind looking creepy. Impidimp is alright, Morgrim didn't quite do it for me, and Grimmsnarl, good god, where did this come from? It looks like they fused Venom and the Green Goblin together. Not my personal favorite, but I can see the appeal for some people. Obstagoon's artwork looks stupid, so here's his 3D model instead. Doesn't that feel better? Anyway, I like how he draws inspiration from Gene Simmons, and I never expected Lynuen of all things to get an evolution, so he's in the clear. Okay, so I like the idea of a Viking Pokemon in this region, just not it being Meowth's evolution. It quite literally just looks like Galarian Meowth put on a Viking hat, and that was it. Maybe there's some historical context that connects cats and Vikings that I'm missing out on, but I just don't see the inspiration behind it. Cursula is definitely a weird-looking Pokemon, but it's an evolution that was well-deserved for a lackluster Pokemon. The ghost typing is more than likely a reference to the dying coral reefs. A bit of a downer, I know, but at least there was some clear inspiration behind this one. Sirfetch'd, like Cursula, is an evolution that should have happened a long time ago, and I'm just glad that he finally got it. He deserves to look that smug. Also, the jousting aspect of him is just really cool, and again, fits with the theme of the region. Mr. Rhyme is not an evolution I wanted to happen, but it did, and now we have to live with the consequences. It is an improvement, though. So, other than having the most bizarre evolution method in Pokemon history, Runerigus is a cool idea for a ghost type. I never expected it to happen, but I'm glad it did. I like Milcery just because of the way it evolves into Alchemy. It gives you some good fun of experimenting with a little spinning animation that's been around since Gen 7, and for that same reason, I also like Alchemy. On top of that, it has good stats, a good typing, a cool name, and just a generally charming design. I've always had a soft spot for customizable Pokemon, and this one is no exception. Phalanx is another bizarre concept, but they are cute, funny, and have one of the best move animations in the entire game with no retreat. Pretty solid Pokemon. I have no clue why Pincurchin is so charming to me. Perhaps it's just my love for electric-type Pokemon. I can't explain why I like it, but I do. Snom is just Icy Grubbin, and that's perfectly acceptable. Have a good day. Frostmoth is alright, I just wish it didn't have one of the worst defensive typings in the game. I feel like this one's true potential was held back a bit. Stonjourner is quite literally just a pile of rocks with a face on it, but there is something undeniably more captivating about him than past pile of rocks Pokemon. And hey, at least they did something with Stonehenge. Again, it fits for the region. Ice-Q is... I feel like it's supposed to be another funny Pokemon, but it's just weird to me. Similar to Appleton, I never saw this guy in my game, so my opinions are limited. Indeedee feels like they put Autono and Meowstic together, and it's just okay. Morpeko is one of the cooler Pika clones in my opinion, and it is Marnie's favorite Pokemon, and who am I to disagree with Marnie? Just wish it was a little bit better stat-wise though. I really like both Cufant and Copperajah. It just feels like a classic Pokemon that goes from cute to cool almost flawlessly. I'm actually really disappointed that I didn't get the chance to put one of these on my team. Alright, now we gotta talk about these fossil guys. At first glance, they're really dumb looking, and I'd probably never want to use them, but I've heard they take inspiration from the fact that archaeologists in the UK just started putting random fossils together long ago, and pardon me for sounding like a broken record, but yes, it fits with the region, so it gets a pass. Yes, all of them. I don't like them design-wise, but at least they have an origin that makes sense. Duraludon is another funny Pokemon, and I don't mind the fact that he looks like an iron. The entire Dreepy line is pretty tight. Almost everyone can appreciate the Ghost Dragon typing and the idea that Dragapult is quite literally catapulting its own children at the opponent to do damage, and I really like his ghostly little tail. I wasn't crazy about Zacian or Zamazenta at first, but after finding out their role in the story and learning that the actual sword and shield are just bestowed to them instead of being permanent fixations in their bodies, I grew to like them quite a bit. I also like legendaries that just feel like it's okay for the main character to capture, like it won't destroy the balance of the world or something. It was part of the reason why I like Zekrom and Reshiram, and it's why I like these two as well. And Eternatus just looks like the Antichrist. Dragon Poison is a really cool typing. All the cutscenes with Eternatus at the end of the game are amazing, and I'm just glad that for once the third legendary was incorporated into the main story of the base games. I've been asking this for a long time. Alright, I think that's all of them. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go drink a very tall glass of water. Let me know what your favorites are from this generation in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.